Right here. I don't feel good about it, but I'm doing it. Remaining cards are Wild Pyromancer, Alkanized Soul Priest, Light Bomb, and something else. Man, come on, dude. Argus to stop lethal into the lay on hands. Dude. Belcher. Alright. It's the Entomb cards, that's why I don't know what they are. Trying to figure out what I have left to draw. There's freaking Entomb cards. Alright, let's beat the hell out of his face. Kinda worried about equality, but it's okay. Oh jeez. Looks like he's gonna be able to take care of this guy. What is he hoping for? We got death to deal with anything big. That's a death target. Runs Healbot too. Look at you, man, all the heals. Alright. We got 6, 10 damage. I guess we'll play the control game now. He's used 2 Consecrates, so he's out of activators for quality, so having a board's pretty good. Why'd I heal myself? Man, you always gotta play around the hammer into Molten Giant. Can't be under 20. Never want to get hammer wrath for 20, man. That's a bad way to lose. Alright, guys. We're on a win streak, crushing it with Priest. Easy game, easy life. Dragon Shami, you don't want to see it. I'm gonna delete the VOD. That deck didn't exist. This is Standard Control Priest by whoever made Standard Control Priest, which was everybody. Or at least, I don't know, this is the list of Standard Control Priest I play. You either take control decks to fatigue, or you kill everything aggro decks play. You just line up your answers, like Entomb and Light Bomb, with the proper questions, which is a lot of little shit, and Tyrion. Which you saw last game, we did not do that correctly, and we almost lost. We got too impatient, you know. Alright, anyway, why only 1 Cabal? Because otherwise aggro can fuck you, because you're 6-drops, look at that, man. I got 6-6-drops. So, I don't know, that's why I was like, normally people play 2 Cabals, I'm pretty sure, but I was like, I'm losing to aggro with a deck that's supposed to beat aggro, and I'm Shrekking control anyway, so let's cut one of these Cabals and try and get some more early stuff. Focus a little bit more on the aggro decks we're supposed to just automatically beat anyway. Because, I don't know. Why not Blade Masters? Because you want to be combining Circle with either 2 things. Like, so Circle is really good at either, you can combine it with Northshire Cleric and Pyro combos to draw your entire deck, which is sweet. Because drawing your entire deck for 3 mana is awesome. It's kind of like Prep Sprint, but for Priest. Or you can combine it with Alkanized Soul Priest to kill the board. You really, the only matchup you ever want to just make a big 4/7 in is against Druid, and like every other deck has just like answers to that. So, and I guess against like even Rogue like has Sap, like having a big 4/7 just isn't as good as it used to be, man. Paladins just Aldor it or Keeper it, or just ignore it and hit you in the face a lot. So it's just much more important to have the board clear. Why not Light of the Naru? You only run Light of the Naru because against aggro, you want the 5 health, you don't really care about the body. And against control, you want to be able to burst things, especially Warlock decks. Reno-based decks and stuff like that, you want to be able to have the burst so you can set up to do the Alkani, Zombie, Circle, Light, or Flash Heal. That combo is like pretty crucial in the control matchups. So you try and make sure that you can kind of save up for that. And just running Light of the Naru kind of ruins your ability to burst people down, and it's just so crucial to have. Alright. Secret Paladin can't deal with the 4/7? They can, man. They just hit you in the face because they're like, well, he doesn't have Alkanized Circle anymore, so let's just dome the fuck out of him. And then they dome the fuck out of you and you die. Blade Master can only trade with 1 thing at a time, and most of the time that thing is Noble Sacrifice. So I don't know. I find that Blade Master is a little bit underwhelming. and you can't really fit them in when you have all these other board clears. And it just fits the theme of the deck more to run board clears, because then against aggro, you clear their board a billion times. Against control, you clear their board a billion times, save up for your big 24 damage burst combo, 24 damage burst them, take them to fatigue with entombs, and win that way. So it's just very, very polarized, different ideas of the deck. You don't really want a mid-range creature. Like, having a 4/7 doesn't help you clear their board forever, and it doesn't help you take them to fatigue. So it's just kind of like in that middle mid-rangey spot, and you don't have any other mid-rangey things besides Sludge Belcher in your deck. And Sludge Belcher isn't really a mid-rangey thing, it's more just like the best heal card, because it heals you more than Heal Bomb most of the time. So Excavated Evil. Excavated Evil adds a card to their deck, which is a problem because in control matchups you try and win in fatigue. So if you look at Excavated Evil, deal 3 damage to all minions, shuffle this card into your opponent's deck. So then they're basically gaining a card in their deck, and then the fatigue clock is a little bit more awkward. So it's real good against aggro, sure, but against the control matchups, it's really shooting yourself in the foot, because I took all the control to fatigue. I even took like Tempo Mage to fatigue. So it's like, it really counterproducts that that avenue you have to victory. So it just kind of makes that harder. Why no Shadow Bomber? What's a Shadow Bomber? Oh, this is because this card is bad. Fitting Harrison into the deck? Yeah, you could definitely fit a Harrison in there and see it if you got a lot of weapons going on. Velen's Chosen. Velen's Chosen isn't like a terrible card, especially since you got Death Lords in the deck, and it can really help complement that. But again, Velen's Chosen is a lot better when you're actually playing minions under the board, so you're like playing a curve and having tempo and things like this. If you look at our curve here, we have like a 1-drop. Odds are we'll probably hit a 1-drop, and we get a good 1-drop out. We don't really have 2-drops. We generally want to be holding this for combos anyway. We don't just throw it out on the board. As you saw in all the games I was playing, you hold on to Wild Pyromancer, you use it for either clearing with Power Word Shields and stuff against aggro, or in the control matchups that people draw in, you save it with Northshire Cleric, and then you get the Wild Pyromancer plus Northshire Cleric, plus either Power Word Shield, Flash Heal, some cheap spell, and then Circle to then draw your entire deck to have all the answers. So, like, you don't really have 2-drops to then buff with the Velen's Chosen, so your only real buff cards that you're hitting with Velen's Chosen is, like, your Death Lord, which is, like, only 2 3-drops. You're not even running 4 3-drops. So, like, odds are you don't have minions on the field to really tempo them out with, and it's just not fitting the game plan of the deck, right? That's why there's no Velen's Chosen included, because you're either killing everything aggro plays, or you're taking them to fatigue, and Velen's Chosen doesn't do that. It's just not a card that fits those themes. If you're more like a mid-rangey Dragon Priest, or if you're playing more minions, if you're playing injured Blade Masters and stuff, I could see throwing in some Velen's Chosens. But for the theme of what we're trying to do, it doesn't really fit that idea. Thoughtsteel is a real good good card against control. You can act as a Wild Pyromancer proc as well, help you outvalue control decks. So I could see that being a good tech choice, especially if you're versing a lot of control warriors or something like that. Definitely a card you could throw in there. Justicar is essential in this deck, that's true. What would you replace Light Bomb with if you didn't have it? There's not really a replacement for Light Bomb. It's just kind of like one of the main cards in the deck. You keep it off the mulligan a lot, which is weird because it costs 6, right? But you really need it to help clear against a lot of decks. Like against Control even, like Control Warrior or something, I'll just keep Light Bomb. And just because you need to have it at some point to be able to deal with the minions they play and just get the game to be slowed down enough. And because all your other cards just die to their weapons and you just want to be answering them. So you just ignore the fact that they have weapons, don't play any minions, and take the game super slow. Why isn't seeing Elise? Elise isn't that great. The problem with Elise is you don't usually have too many cards left when you play it, and then you're trying to take him to fatigue. So in the control matchups where Elise could be your answer to the game, you're going to have cards like, your hand's going to be like Entomb, Death, Light Bomb, and that's it. And then you're going to be like, well, you can play Golden Monkey and turn all these into legendaries. And then they just bomb train you because they're Control Warrior or whatever, and you die. Whereas if you just didn't play Elise, then you could just, they play Grom, you Shadow or Death it, they play whatever, you Entomb it, they play whatever, you Light Bomb, and then you win the game. So it's like, it turns all your answers into questions for your opponent. And your opponent generally just has better questions than you have because they just play the best legendaries and you get random-ass legendaries. So in the control matchup, you're just changing your answers to legendaries into legendaries, and then you're having random legendaries against their constructed deck legendaries. So now you're just playing a bad legendary arena draft against Control Warrior, and it's not good. It's not good. So that's why it's better to have that. Any replacements for Entomb and Museum Curator? Now, Entomb's the only reason you're able to take other control decks to Fatigue. If you didn't have Entomb, you couldn't take other control decks to Fatigue. If you can't take other control decks to Fatigue, then your entire game plan against control is out the window, and your deck now only beats aggro. So that Entomb's 100% essential. Did Paletress work? Paletress is more of a tempo-oriented card. If you're playing a Paletress sort of deck, then you'd want to be winning by having minions on board. This deck doesn't win by minions on board. This deck wins by either killing all your opponent's minions until they're doing nothing and you heal up to 30, or taking a control deck to Fatigue and you never really play minions. You just kill their shit. You don't actually even develop a board yourself. So all of like Dr. Boom or or Confessor, all that sort of stuff that is like adds a minion to the board or is a big minion is only good if you're trying to kill them with minions. This deck doesn't try and kill people with minions. Like, we're trying to trade everything. Literally every card in my entire deck I want to trade. I don't want to have anything left in my entire deck. I just want to trade everything with all their stuff and then win in Fatigue. And take their shit and outvalue them with Entomb. So it's like, these sort of things, like this is good if you are trying to kill them with minions, but we're not trying to kill them with minions. Boom's good if you're trying to kill them with minions, we're not trying to kill them with minions. So anything like Piloted Shredder is good if you're trying to kill them with minions, because that's a strong minion board card. But we don't have a minion board. Like if you look at this deck, none of this is minion board, except Belcher. But Belcher's more for taunting and healing than for minion board, so that's why. Is second Shadow Word Death really necessary with 2 Entomb? Yeah, we ran out of answers against a Control Warrior that was just like rank 11 and was just running every bomb. So yeah, against standard Control Warrior you should have like enough answers, but sometimes they run extra answers. Death is just an insane card too. Like, a lot of times against Paladin you saw they just randomly king something and smack you in the face with it, and then you death it and win the game. That's just too good to cut. You definitely want 2 of them there. It just deals so efficiently with so many things. It's all about trading. Why no Sylvanas? Entomb's just like a better Sylvanas. Sylvanas is super greedy, and I feel like we can already beat Control pretty much every time by taking him to Fatigue. But, yeah, Sylvanas, like, unless the board's cleared, which we don't take initiative ever, so we Light Bomb for 6 mana, that's our entire turn, right? Then they have 7 mana on their turn to redevelop the board, and then we would play Sylvanas into their already developed board, and then they can then develop more minions and trade and control what happens with Sylvanas, which makes Sylvanas extremely weak since we're never actually ahead on the board to then dictate how it trades. So since we can never really dictate how it trades, it's like not the strongest minion in the world. Whereas if you're ahead on board, you can really dictate how it trades. But against aggro, it's really strong because against aggro, you don't care if they dictate how it trades. You just want to get something out of it, right? And force them to slow down so that they have to attack it, so they dictate how it trades, so which absorbs a lot of damage from your face. So against aggro is a pretty good choice, honestly. But against control, they're able to generally deal with it pretty efficiently by just setting it up to have bad odds for you every single time. So it picks up a card slot and doesn't really do enough. I can see it over the Cabal Shadow Priest though, because they do very similar things against aggro, but I think Cabal Shadow Priest is a little bit better against control than Sylvanas would be. But you also get opportunities to then Sylvanas Death, which can allow you to use your Entombs a little bit more liberally against things like Control Warrior, but or other Ysera wielding decks. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of Sylvanas. Anyway, I gotta go play Mulligan Tips. Alright, Mulligan Tips and then I'll be done. But Mulligan Tips, so against pretty much against aggro in general, you're gonna want Zombie Chow, obviously. You're gonna want Museum Curator against every deck. You're gonna want Wild Pyromancer against aggro decks. I wouldn't keep it against like Control Warrior or things like that. Control Warrior, would you keep it against Priest? I don't think so. I don't think so. Only against aggro. And then, so this you keep against everything. This is only against aggro. Northshire Cleric, you can keep against aggro for sure. Against control, you can justify keeping it, but don't play it turn 1. Just don't. Don't play it until you get value off of it against control. And you want to save for combos like Northshire Cleric plus Wild Pyromancer plus Circle. You want to keep Circle in every matchup. Circle is like the best card in your deck. It's like Enervate. It's insane. You want to keep Alkanized Soul Priest in every matchup, and you want to keep Death Lord in every matchup. Against Control, you can keep Sludge Belcher, and against Control, you can keep... against Warrior, keep Light Bomb, just in case it's Patron. You just get an auto win if you Light Bomb their first wave of Patrons, so keep Light Bomb against Control Warrior. If you already have things like Museum Curator or Death Lord, you can justify keeping Light Bomb against Paladin. It's pretty fine. Other than that, keep Circle, keep Death Lord, Belcher against Control, keep Alkanai against everything, keep Power Word Shield with Wild Pyromancer against aggro. It's more just combos really than specific things, besides this card, and then this card against Control, and this card. This card you always keep, this card you always keep. Everything else is pretty situational. Deathlord versus Control Warrior? Yeah, Deathlord versus Control Warrior. You gotta get that guy out there. If they want to execute it, and that's what they want to do, that's fine. But, like, you generally can deal with what comes out. Most of the time it's like an Armor Smith or an Acolyte of Pain, but if it's not, then you have Light Bomb or whatever, and they're kind of forced to play into it, which helps. Or sometimes they get the impression they can tempo you out, and then they try and tempo you out really hard, and then it just gives your AoE's value. And they, generally speaking, it's impossible for them to tempo you out, because you just have too much removal. But sometimes they get greedy, and they're like, oh, I got this advantage from the Death Lord, let's try and push all my minions on the field and kill him really fast, and then you can simply Light Bomb. Alright, anyway. That's the end of my stream, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with me. I gotta go play mini golf, so I appreciate you all staying tuned and stuff. Hopefully you guys learned some Priest, because that's what I was playing. If not, it's okay. We got a win streak there at the end, so it's pretty sweet. We've been crushing it with the Priest. It takes forever to get a win streak with Priest, man. It's a good 6 hours before you get a win streak with Priest. The deck plays out slow. Anyway, I guess let's host Kibler. Kibler's online. T. Robinson just subscribed for 2 months in a row. Thanks for subscribing, dude, right at the end there. I appreciate that. Welcome to the Batcave team thing, man. I'm sorry I'm ending the stream, but I do appreciate your subscription. Anyway, take care, guys. I'm gonna host Kibler. He's a pretty cool guy. He plays dragons. He probably plays Dragon Shaman a lot better than I do. That was embarrassing. But, take care, guys.